I'm Juliette Bietry, Senior Commercial Manager at Deltatre. Welcome to our panel, The Power of Broadcast Graphics, Shaping the Perfect Fan Experience. So I know that's a strong promise, but I'm confident that you will learn something today as I am in a very good company. Our panelists are Mike Wuetherick from Unity Technologies and Dang Duy from World Athletics. So Mike, you're working with Unity Technologies since 4 years. You are product owner for media and entertainment at Unity Create Studios, where you're helping to define the future of film, TV, and animation. Just that. You lead teams of creators on innovative projects, most notably Baymax Dreams with Disney, which won Unity their first technical Emmy. That's right. You also play guitar and you take your 2 sons to the karate dojo for practice. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And you have joined World Athletics 3 years ago. You're a Chief Information Officer. You lead a technology team responsible for the management of the competition results workflow, data management, and for the creation of the various outputs that provide access to the sport for millions of fans. I believe that's thanks to your job, you went from being a casual fan to becoming a true expert in athletics. Thanks for joining us today. So now I will ask you both to introduce your company and to explain what you've been up to recently. So Mike, if you want to start.
Sure. So Unity is started originally as a game engine, game technology, so people who can use it to create their own games. It's grown significantly since then. We have around 3,000 plus employees around the world. It's used for thousands of games, and more recently, it's being used in much wider use cases, so outside of games. So this is everything from architecture, product visualization, broadcast, and then media and entertainment. So we're seeing a lot of growth in a wide range of sectors around the world. So it's a very exciting time.
Wow, that's impressive. Yes, I imagine that's super exciting. And can you maybe tell us about World Athletics? What is the mission maybe of that governing body? You are a customer of Deltatre since more than 30 years now. So it's interesting for us to hear about your projects.
Yeah, indeed. So the World Athletics, which used to be called IWF, which was very hard to pronounce and understand what it was, is the world governing body of athletics. We cover disciplines like obviously track and field, cross country, road running, race walking, mountain running, and ultra running, for example. The total number of affiliated countries is 214, which makes World Athletics one of the largest sport organizations in the world. It's even more countries than in the United Nations. So one of the mission is to one of the foundation is to regulate the sport of athletics, but also to organize any world competitions. And our jewel event is the World Athletics Championships, which is happening every 2 years, and we have more than 1 billion views watching athletics then. So it's one of the largest sport events in the world with football and Olympics.
Right. So about World Athletics delivering the World Championships, you've been delivering Doha 2019 following a thorough rebrand. This was reflected in a brand new set of visual assets across broadcast and digital media, I believe. What was the idea at the foundation of the renewed strategy for your organization?
So so you mentioned rebrand, and for us it was more than a logo change. There was also reflecting our ambition to be more than a governing body, but almost of a lifestyle type of brand. And we wanted to be seen engaging existing fans and getting new fans as well, getting into loving athletics. And how do you do that? You start by changing your name so people understand what you are about. but that was also the opportunity for us to release a number of initiatives which were much more focused on fans rather than the professional of athletics. So the work around graphics, because it's a lot about graphics today, was to get those graphics more exciting for the public, make the sport easier to understand, support storytelling rather than that just being tactical. That was one of the examples we've done. We have also redone our website, for example, which is again much more news-oriented, fan-oriented, and all the graphic work was going in that same directions of making our sport more appealing for the casual fan.
Right. Because today the competition to get fans' attention is fierce, especially in sports with so many disciplines competing for eyeballs. So, Mike, could you explain how Unity is changing the game in the way sports organizations deliver sport content?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, the sort of the merging of the broadcast world and the real-time graphics world. What typically or historically has been sort of, I guess, baked graphics can now actually, with the power of the real-time rendering, we can dynamically modify and personalize graphics, and we're seeing use of Unity all the way from the broadcast booth all the way through on the actual end user, the fans' devices. So being able to actually tweak and modify things all the way through the network stack, essentially. And that's actually where it gets really interesting. Unity's historically a cross-platform, so we run on 30+ platforms. So it's not just your high-end PC desktops, but all the way through iPhones and Androids, where the fans are typically viewing the content. So being able to actually customize and personalize all the way through is really fascinating.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned some of the benefits of your technology, but your technology is also very flexible, very easy to use for the developers. Since a couple of years, Unity powers the Deltatre set of graphic solution. Can you explain how a technology built for the gaming industry at the beginning managed to become a reference in the broadcasting industry?
Yeah, I think the community is one of the big strengths of Unity. The whole platform is built off of just standard .NET C#, the programming language, which makes it very accessible and very easy for developers. It makes it very easy for developers to get in and actually start building on it. It's kind of a very popular standard. So that in itself is kind of a big step up. And then if you look at how the Unity engine is built, it's very modular and very customizable and extensible. Which allows people to take it places that the Unity never imagined that our technology could be taken. For example, into the broadcast space. If you have a custom piece of hardware you want to integrate, that's really easy. If you want to have a custom like video codecs or animation format, all of these. Unity's kind of the hub that you can bring a lot of this stuff together with, and deliver it for your experience.
Quality of the rendering is also something that you guys managed to improve.
Yeah, it's always a never-ending sort of search on the game side where we every new console. Sorry, my dog is whining a lot.
Yeah, he's welcome in this panel. I think he has something to say.
Yes. One of the foundations of Unity is being able to actually render large scenes of game environments and so on. So rendering is always sort of at the top of mind. And over the last few years, we've heavily invested in this space, pushing the graphics forward, like, for example, the new PlayStation, the new Xbox graphics. And this basically is for other verticals, for other use cases like broadcast or architecture or what have you. They kind of get the trickle down of that for free. that's kind of, again, the beauty of having this common platform is with the advances in any one of these areas allows the other areas to take advantage of it. So,
thank you. And when you hear Mike enumerating the benefits of Unity, flexibility, quality of the rendering, easy to use, how do you think this is critical to help you shaping the perfect fan experience for World Athletics?
Well, I think what is different now compared with a number of years ago is that you don't want your creativity and your ideas to be undermined by technology. Basically, you want to you want to have an idea and you want technology to just make it happen. I think it's very important for to work with technologies such as Unity. So when we brainstorm together and we come up with an ideal concept that we say, okay, we can do that in X number of weeks, and it's not going to cost 1 million. So in that respect, it is very important. And those are things we can do from a graphic point of view we would not imagine doing a few years ago, because only a couple of sports could do that because it was so expensive. So I think that flexibility is very welcome, and technology shouldn't be apparent in a way. I mean, people don't care about technology. It's just about telling stories. That's all that matters, and making sure that from an operational point of view, this is something you can work with and which will fit with your budget, and that's it.
Right, make your life easier and don't limit any of the ideas you may have. In the last month, over the last year, maybe, I know you've been putting a lot of emphasis on adding new data points to your set of graphics, improve the storytelling in order to build the fan experience that you're aiming to have. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
As you mentioned, I mean, graphics is like a stage for me. So you need to have actors, you need to have a story and so on, and you can have the best engine in the world. But if you are kind of, I mean, for me, graphics shouldn't be gimmicks. And it's possibly that work once, because it's, you have a fireworks kind of experience on the screen, but people will get bored very quickly, once they have seen something, even though it's very cool, it's 3D, it's moving in all directions, you have flashy colors. That's only work for a short amount of time, and I'm not sure it is money well invested. When we have lots of money, maybe you can do that and change that on a regular basis. But for me, the true power of graphics is taking new data points, and we are working, for example, on tracking athletes. We are working on things which were never measured before in competitions. And how do you transform very possibly dry data into stories, and how people can understand something which might be complex to understand in the first place, but how do you get across insight stories? How do you get people hooked into that type of data, because that gets them more involved in how the different exploits are happening. So that's something which is really important. Now that we are, as we were saying, we are not limited by graphics capabilities, and sky is the limit. There's still, some ideas are more expensive than others, and but things are moving fast. Real time is quite important as well, because you have, the danger is to have processing lag in terms of data collection, data processing, and rendering. So we don't want graphics to hold you back. So that's that has been very important for us. And I would say that for me, we just for athletics, which has been very static, the graphic package for athletics hasn't evolved for many years. You mentioned that we were using Deltatre and not because of Deltatre, but the sport did not feel that it needed to transform itself, which is very different now. Now that there is a conjunction of the technology is there, is used elsewhere, is becoming flexible and affordable. There is appetite from fans to experience something different. And we are also adding tracking data, which was not there before. So it's a perfect recipe, a perfect storm, or however you want to call it, to really create something new that people will enjoy and will continue to grow the audience for athletics in the next few years. So for me, it's just the beginning.
You have released the first step of that vision in Doha at the end of 2019. Could you share with us the main takeaways of that experience?
So for me, the main takeaways is we didn't have much time to prepare for Doha actually, because I just joined. We have renewed our contract with Deltatre, and so we had to put some money on the table to get things going, and that was kind of new money. There was additional investment from our side. The takeaway was we were able to confirm that there was appetite for a new graphics experience, in terms of supporting the event itself, graphics being able to be not just something you use to display legacy numbers, but something which can add to the experience, which can get people more interested into what they are seeing in terms of basically augmenting the experience of athletics. So that was, and that's the reason why we are continuing to invest in that field, and we are hoping that our new World Championship next year or the following year, depending on how COVID is treating us, will be a demonstration of what we can do. And again, there are tons of ideas we have in the pipeline. We would like to get to the screen, but also to social channels and so on. And we're also working, as you know, with Deltatre on social graphics, leveraging what we do for TV. The other takeaway as well, and was, how do you work as an organization across the different departments to bring those stories, working with communication, working with competitions, but also working with broadcast, working with directors, making sure that the assets, the graphics assets you have created are used properly, that the assets you have created have the graphics you have created can play into the story, that you have seen in advance how it's going to work as part of the running order. So it's not, so you are creating something, you need to make sure that there is buying it for everyone to leverage it as much as possible. So this is something which was very important. What I have experienced is, you have a lot of people who are used to do something one way, and things we are bringing in, we need to make sure that they understand where they can use it, when this is relevant, how that can add to the storytelling. So spending more time with everyone, explaining the potential of the assets we have created is very important.
Right. So one of the challenges was to have everyone in the organization, in the company, moving in the same direction. You also mentioned, and social media and social channels. I'd like to hear, Mike, about that. With your experience in media and entertainment, can you tell us how to create a good cross-platform viewing experience for fans?
I think it's really interesting how, and you were describing this process of storytelling, because that's really what it is for everyone. You're trying to tell a story across all of these different media types. And one of the strengths of Unity is because we have that cross-platform sort of reach. Once your assets are in there, once that graphics package is in Unity, you can deliver it to any number of different outputs, whether it's an actual application or a video output or for the part of the broadcast. But when you're in that creative, the storytelling, trying to figure out what the story is, the real-time iteration, sort of the flexibility of tools like Unity really kind of unlocks a lot of that potential. You can get so many more kicks at the can, as it were, to try out ideas very quickly. That's actually something that we're seeing across pretty much every industry, is the fact that you get that real-time feedback, the real-time iteration, the real-time sort of response. Doesn't matter what you're trying to create, that alone sort of gives you a massive sort of time and cost benefit. So I think that's really one of the most interesting, whether you're a film company trying to figure out how to get your feature film to social media, or to a game or an AR experience, or broadcast, or just traditional games. The same sort of fundamentals apply.
Right. I hope, Mike, I'm not betraying any secrets, because you have the benefit of not being an athletics fan, right? Okay.
I'm Canadian. We just finished watching the Stanley Cup, so there you go.
Right. So looking at the future, what technological innovation could bring you, Mike, to watch athletics on TV?
I think it really is,
or on another device.
Yeah, well, I think there's there's a number of advancements that we're seeing that really start making it it's the personalization, I think, is really what it comes down to. Everybody has their favorite athlete or their favorite player on a team, and when you some of the ability of having dynamic camera feeds or volumetric video capture, where you can actually sort of be the director as a viewer. The personalization, and whether it's different audio feeds, being able to dynamically mix them. I want less announcer and more crowd noise, or more just the on the field noise. The fact that we're able to now deliver this media to the fans dynamically, and then potentially composite it or compile it together on the clients. That's, I think, where it starts getting really interesting. Being able to actually have that flexibility where it's not just a static video feed coming from the broadcast booth, where whether it's 5G or cloud computing or all of the above, the future is really interesting in this space.
And when you hear Mike talking like this, I'm sure some of his ideas ring a bell.
Yeah, I mean, there are things, and obviously it's not a one-year roadmap. We have an ambition on, we have, we need to, there's investment we need to put into the different innovations we have. It is not the lack of ideas, but what you have mentioned, Mike, is echoing some of the ideas we have. We have been discussing internally, and we have done some progress around that of, for example, what we call a companion screen, which will, even if you watch on TV, because sometimes it's the only place where you can watch athletics, you have a personalized experience for a second screen, and you can get some of the metrics you don't get on the screen, because there's so much you can put on TV. There's the things are fast-paced, and sometimes you need to digest data in a different rhythm. So we are looking at a companion screen as well. We have been also discussing how that companion screen can present you things you cannot see on TV, whether those are backstage highlights, those type of things. What we are building actually, which is something we want to release next year, is we are talking about flexibility and creating something which is personal. What we are working on at the moment is equipping journalists to generate their own graphics and tell their stories. Because as World Athletics, we are building what we call the integrated feed, the worldwide feed. And we cannot talk about one specific country because we are not supposed to. We talk about the competitions, we talk about the world records and the top people at the end of the race. But storytelling is not always about the winners. It can be also about those athletes in that country who have gone through being a local athletes to a national athletes and then international athletes. So how can you translate that into graphics in terms of progression, in terms of what they have achieved through the season, or how do they score compared with their season best, whatever. So we want journalists to be able to talk about their local heroes. And this is what nationals care about, is to hear about the people they can relate to in their own country. They want to support those guys. So this is something we are working on from a graphic point of view, and it's so you are able to select the athletes you want, the hits you want, and then use those graphics to write your article, your blog, push that on social media. So that's something I believe in, which will help us amplify those stories and help journalists and bloggers do a better job at conveying their passion for athletics and their love for particular athletes in the athletics landscape.
So giving tools to the journalists so that they can localize the content and for World Athletics benefit from a higher reach. That's
is
really
enable professional to amplify, tell their own stories, create something people can relate to everywhere, anywhere they sit. So that's something that amplification or enabling people to do that is, I think, is something we can do as World Athletics, and which we think will benefit everyone.
If you could go crazy, assume you have unlimited budget, assume technology, as you said it, has no limitations. What would you want to bring across your TVs, across our TVs? So difficult one.
Yeah, no, I think, everyone has, I have drained that few things we are possible. And sometimes it's not technology, it's more how as a sport we are set up. Today we are navigating into, I would say, a very established way of selling rights, being able to broadcast such an event in which country and whatever. And what Mike mentioned before, transforming completely the viewing experience. Athletics is very complicated sometimes because you have several things happening at the same time in stadiums, sometimes outside the stadium as well. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of data. Actually, I wasn't expecting that when I joined athletics. Actually, it's a very data-rich sport, and it's even getting richer with athletes tracking we are pushing at the moment. So how do we transform that data? How do you transform the different video feeds? How do you personalize it, as we mentioned before? So we could have some kind of a super OTT type of experience, and by that I don't mean TV on internet, but creating a brand new product in a way, which is very personalized toward the sport you like, the athletes you like, the type of things you like to see on the screen, giving you some editorial insight on to help you understand what is at stake, who is likely to win, mixing that with a gaming experience, with the fantasy experience as well. So if we had no limit in terms of how we can transform the TV product, that would certainly be something I would be very pleased to work on. Things are evolving. You know, we are in sport and in the landscape, so possibly at some stage we'll get there. But I think people are opening up to new experience, and I'm hoping that someday, at least for some territories, we can innovate there and create something people haven't seen before.
Nice. Mike, your dream feature?
Well, I really like the idea of that companion app that you were talking about, because from the Unity standpoint, that's once you actually have a runtime running on a device that has that computing power, then really the sky's the limit. Being able to, like you said, ingest all of the data feeds as well as present it in sort of any number of ways. Like it's almost, again, the sky's the limit when you have all the data and all the processing power there, and the video cards and the GPU, being able to sort of combine elements. Yeah, it's really, I don't, there's so much potential that I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg for like where this is going in the future. I really see the idea of dynamic replays, or like where they have the slow motion finishes and you want to get in there and check it out from different camera angles, having some of the different volumetric video feeds, where you can actually see and change the camera dynamically. You could be the director. I think this is really, it's a fascinating space where now a lot of the technology is now coming to become a little more standardized and a little more accessible. Stadiums are actually installing the volumetric camera setups so that you can actually get access to these kinds of camera feeds. You see a lot of professional sports are now trying to present the TV experience almost like what a game experience is, where they've got the flying cameras and drone shots and all of the combination, being able to remix that in an interesting way for me, the way that I want to view it. That's really what I think, that's the end, the dream is for every fan to see, like you said, the story that they wanted to see, their hometown heroes, or their whatever the character arc is for the different athletes. I think it really is, it's a fascinating space.
Nice.
I think,
one topic. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was listening to Mike. I mean, so something I've been looking into as well, as we are talking to sponsors and so on, and trying to find ideas which will excite everyone, so we can get people to help us implement some of the ideas we have. I think in terms of exploiting augmented reality, we are just at the beginning as well, and having personalized augmented reality experience, either at home or on the field of play, is something we could look at. You're on the field of play, you just seen something, and then you've seen a historical, the world record, for example, in front of your eyes on the field of play, and you kind of look at and say, okay, but this is what it means, jumping above 6 meters and so on. Because sometimes TV is not giving justice to some of the exploits from the athletes, and relating, again, it's storytelling, is relating something with something else. Setting a benchmark, trying to understand how close that person is to the world record, to his best rival. Being able to visualize almost in flesh what it means as well, is something I can see happening. Eventually we'll be there, in a few more years, everyone will have augmented reality glasses, or have some kind of augmented reality experience. I strongly believe that it's going to be the case in a few years. People have tried, but we have limitation in terms of battery. We have limitation in terms of reception. We have limitation in terms of prices. But you know what? Everyone is solving those problems at the moment. 5G is resolving the connectivity issue. Prices are going down. battery life. People are working on technology where basically you charge your phone and it's up for a month. So I think slowly those breaks are coming together. So that's really a reason why I believe that in a few years, and not in 20 years, personal augmented reality is going to become reality.
Thanks a lot to you both. I don't know you, but I am frustrated that we only had half an hour because I think we're running out of time. Is there anything you wanted to add to this panel and you're dying to say it and you didn't have the opportunity? You're good? Excellent.
I think it's just, we're just so early and this is really the tip of the iceberg. There's really so much more interesting things that are going to come. It's exciting. In
that case, let's take an appointment and do that panel again a year from now. Thank you very much to you both.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
It was good to speak to you, Mike.
Yes, thank you. Nice meeting you.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.